Thanks so much. All right, this week, the Center for Michigan's Bridge magazine is taking a look at right to work and if it really actually brings more jobs to the state. And joining us now is Democratic strategist and one of the familiar faces that you're going to be seeing right here on MiWeek, Debbie Dingell. Debbie, thanks for being with us here at the table.
Great to be with you guys.
All right, so right to work. Are you surprised? This is all bubbling up ever since Indiana last month passed their right to work. What's going on in the state of Michigan right now that you can talk about?
Well, there's several things happening. As the Bridge magazine's talked about, we've had a legislature that has been passing what a lot of people consider to be very anti-union legislation. Many of the unions are concerned about what that means to working men and women in this state and their ability to protect their jobs, to protect their pensions, to protect the safety in the workplace. And because of that, you are seeing a petition that is now being circulated around the state to put on the ballot the right for collective bargaining in the Constitution itself. You've also already seen the petitions filed, what's known as the Emergency Financial Manager, which has been organized because many of the unions are concerned about the contracts that are being broken at the local level.
But Debbie, you also have the SEIU out there circulating petitions to make babysitters officially union members. You have other amendments floating around. Is there a danger of loading up that ballot, and could it backfire on the unions and Democrats? I know you're concerned about that.
I have said to people that I was very concerned that we were beginning to look like California on how many ballot proposals there are going to be this year. I think that they were premature. I've said that, so I may have somebody
one of them
tell
got
me.
pulled because
it needed to get pulled.
Yeah.
The corporate accountability, I was not ready for prime time, and a lot of people were concerned that labor
Were you
wasn't...
surprised at all, Debbie? I mean, the governor had taken a conciliatory tone on this right to work. He said, don't put it on my desk.
Yeah, he said he didn't want to see it.
The business community said, we don't need this. Then all of a sudden you have Brewer and Mark Brewer, the Democratic chair, Bob King of the UAW circulating this.
This is not a Mark Brewer. This is the working men and women that are out there trying to protect their jobs. And what they're concerned about is the number of bills that have already passed in this legislature that have been anti-union. Taking the conservative newspapers across this state wrote that but the Adrian Telegraph, which is one maybe more conservative than you, which is hard to say, said that this is nothing but retaliation when you don't allow teachers' dues to be deducted. It doesn't save the state any money.
Yeah.
There are 80 bills pending in the state legislature right now.
But
is there anti-union?
Is there a correlation to being able to bring in more business if you are a state that's a right-to-work state? Have they been able, the other side, been able to come up and give proof that there is?
They've never been able to prove that fact. When you look at what the southern factors are and where they go, there are a number of them. Try air conditioning being one of the reasons that more jobs have moved to the southern area. The fact of the matter is that the collective bargaining has created the middle class in this country.
Especially in this state.
Not just in this state, but in many other states, manufacturing states.
You know, there's no question that labor has every right to feel backed into a corner by particularly this legislature, which has been very aggressive. I'm wondering, though, if they're overplaying their hand here with some of these ballot initiatives, trying to pack them all onto to one election, and whether that ends up backfiring. Like, is that the smartest tactic to try to fight this, given that you have a governor who's inclined not to get into this at all and probably could keep the other side at bay?
I think the governor has said he didn't want to see it on his desk, but he's never said that he wouldn't sign it.
He's never said he wouldn't
veto it. And you've seen a
right.
number of very significant bills move to the state legislature. And when you have 80 more that are pending that get right at the heart of protecting middle-class jobs in this state, and you've seen this legislature be very happy to help CEOs, but they're not out there willing to fight for working men and women in the state. They're trying to protect their job safety. Go to basic things like protecting job safety.
Okay. All right, Debbie, thank you so much for joining us. You'll be back on MiWeek. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, and to wrap things up for this week, we've talked about the ever-changing headlines in the Detroit financial crisis, and I know that these guys with me are all about the newspaper headlines. You know, I'm not quite sure why. But I want to take a minute to talk about a couple of stories that maybe weren't splashed across the front page that people are talking about. And I think the first one that people are really talking about is City Council President in Detroit, Charles Pugh, and his big weight loss. He lost 55 pounds. And so this week, he actually posted before and after pictures of himself online and with a video talking about, you know, that he's going to be sharing all of his weight loss secrets. So he showed the six-pack. And I'm wondering what you guys thought of that.
Well, Christy, it may not look like it, but Steve and I also have six-packs.
Or eight-packs even, maybe,
we'll
right?
Bust them out. We'll bust them out.
We just keep them in a cooler in my truck. We're going to break them out after the show.
It's a different six.
So
right?
wait a minute. We're not going to be able to see any pictorials in the Freep or the news of you guys.
See those pictures.
Yeah. Well, you know, the first thing I thought when I saw this was, is this mayoral? You know, we'll get you a picture.
Well,
The
then maybe
chief
that's a
executive of the
sign.
city doing this?
Well,
But maybe that's a sign that maybe we're starting to
He's
figure
not
out that
gonna
maybe
run.
he's not going to run.
Yeah, you know, I mean, the big problem I always have with Charles, and I think he's a great guy, and he's been a very good council person. But judgment, right? Judgment. Some things you just don't do, and this struck me as one of the things that you say, you know what, I'm going to pass on this story.
Well, you know what? I think a lot of people can relate to Charles, and that's from his television career, and then coming in, and that's one of the things that people love, that they know so much about him. And I got to say, maybe I'm a little jealous of the six-pack after 3 kids. It's never going to happen, my friend.
But Christy, you can bet Charles Atlas is not eating pink slime as part
Oh,
of
the pink slime. Everyone loves to talk about pink slime now, right? All right. Okay. So another thing that popped up that you didn't know, that I gave you the news flash of, that the Detroit ranks third in bed bug reports. Third in the nation. Do you want to know who tops us, though?
Who's that?
Chicago and Cincinnati.
All right.
Cincinnati.
So those are both cities that you would maybe want to emulate if you were Detroit in other ways.
In other ways, not the bed bug thing.
This one, right? What does that correlate with, though, right? What is the determining factor in whether you
Well,
have
it
lots
was,
of bed
it was
bugs
done
in
by
your cities?
the company that owns Orkin, so all the pest control guys, and so it's reports. So either they say people are more aware of bed bugs, or there's a lot of traveling, and they're going from place to place.
A bed bug census.
They didn't count 1. I see 2. I see 3. All right, and the last thing, I know no one really wants to talk about this. He's talking about the weather, but the poor tulips over in Holland they're like saying, hello, it's spring, right? It's time for the Tulip Festival. Well, the Tulip Festival is May 5th, and they're already kind of up and about.
I don't know what the big deal is. Tulips are good whenever they come, and I don't know why we're looking this gift horse in the mouth. It's been an amazing March, and instead of saying, wow, aren't we lucky, everybody's running around, oh, the sky is falling, global warming.
All right, if you want to make Nolan happy, send him some tulips. All right, finally, we want to thank you for joining us for our premiere show. My Week is a new initiative with Detroit Public TV to tackle the big stories and the untold ones that affect not only you here, but across the state. And we want to dive deeper into the issues and have conversations that maybe you wouldn't usually see on TV, and have a little bit of fun. We want to hear what you think, what story ideas you have, what you'd like to see. Think of My Week really as your week. You can find us at myweek.org, or you can find us on Facebook, or you can follow us on Twitter at MyWeek. That is going to do it for us. Make sure you come back and see us next week. We'll be here. I'm Christy McDonald.